Communications 101, Better Communicators are Problem Solvers, Group 2. Roles and assigned parts. Mira Hume, Compliance with Post-Presentation. How do we handle conflict, Part 1. Anna Pelton, Compliance with Post-Presentation. How do we handle conflict, Part 2. Mason Johnson, Communication, Learn how to apologize. Aaliyah Hillman, Compliance with Rubric, The Power of I Statements. Hannah Kuncharia, Compliance with Rubric, Conflict and Unequal Relationships. Anna Pace, Organization, Conflict When You Are in Charge, Part 1. And Ella Huff Tucker, Organization, Conflict When You Are in Charge, Part 2.
Different ways people handle conflict, presented by Mira Hume. There are a few different ways people handle conflict with others, but there are 3 types that are common: competing, collaboration, and compromise. I'm going to explain each type and what the pros and cons are of that individual type. Competing. Individuals in a conflict are more concerned with getting what they want than getting the right answer for the situation. People who use the competing style, I believe, would usually be more self-centered. The competing style is most of the time not a very civil way of handling conflict. It can result in blackmail or persuasion by lying to the other person. The competing style is a win-at-all-costs mentality. If you're trying to better your relationship with someone, this can end very badly. I would say this is the least beneficial and most negative way of handling a conflict. Collaborating. Both individuals in a conflict attempt to reach a consensus. This way of handling a conflict is much healthier for the relationship of the 2 people in the conflict. The people who use this style value relationship much more than people who use competing. People using the collaborating style work together to handle the conflict. This style would end in more of a civil manner because both people decide on a happy medium. This style, I believe, would not end in resentment because resentment can form when someone is having to give up something or feels like their needs are not being met. This way is the most positive in my eyes for handling conflict. Compromise. Each person gives up something in order to come to an acceptable solution. This type of handling conflict has pros and cons. I believe it can be beneficial because one person isn't overruling the other person in the conflicting situation. The con in my mind for handling conflict in the compromise style is that giving up something can cause feelings of resentment. This can be a good way to handle conflict if what you are giving up is not super important to you. What is the best way to handle conflict? In conclusion, handling conflict is personal to each person in each relationship. I believe the best way to handle conflict is by not avoiding it and letting feelings build up. For me personally, collaborating works best for my relationships, but it might be different for each individual person. Question and answer. What does the vocabulary word collaborating mean?
Collaborating means both individuals in a conflict attempt to reach a consensus.
Different Ways People Handle Conflict, Part 2, presented by Anna Pelton. Accommodation. An individual gives in or sacrifices partially or completely to the other party. This style of conflict usually results in one party giving up and or being hurt. Some accommodate because they don't think the conflict is a big deal or will result in anything. Others accommodate because they are scared or uncomfortable in engaging in conflict. Some Christians do this because they believe it is better not to express their grievances and frustrations. However, not showing the importance of the situation will not go well in the long run. Avoidance. To evade conflict through silence or removing oneself from the situation. Many people do this when they do not know about the subject or believe the point is so minor it doesn't need addressing. This is okay to do if you're not in the situation and don't know about the problem. This is not okay to do if you need to fix a problem. Efficient problem solvers are able to address issues constructively while not addressing problems that could ruin productive conflict. Identifying different ways people handle conflict. Sally and her coworker, Jen, have a conflict between them at work. Sally sees Jen walking towards her in the hallway, but instead of walking towards her, Sally turns and takes the stairs. Is this scenario collaborating, competing, compromise, avoidance, or accommodation?
It is avoidance.
Yes.
How to Apologize, presented by me, Mason Johnson. There are 4 ways in making your apology meaningful, according to Joe Ellen. Step 1. Give the reason of why you are sorry and why are you wanting to apologize. Here's an example. I am so sorry for canceling the plans without letting you know first. Step 2. Give the reason of admit why you were wrong. Here is an example. I was wrong to cancel our plans for brunch and not communicating with you. Step 3. Let them know you will not make the same mistake in the future. Here's an example. If something happens in the future, I will call and let you know ahead of time. And step 4. Ask them for forgiveness. And here's an example. Could you please forgive me for what I have done? I promise I will never do it again.
Hi, my name is Olivia Hillman, and I will be going over the power of I statements and using them instead of you statements in order to prevent offense and barriers within communications. So I statements were developed by Thomas Gordon while doing play therapy with children in the 1960s. These statements were developed to help parents communicate better with their children and to help them understand and listen to directions better. These statements help parents to be assertive without being domineering. What are I statements? I statements always begin with the word I. As I said in the previous slide, it allows the speaker to be assertive without being overly domineering or controlling. There are some examples of I statements up on the slide. I know this situation really hurts you. I feel badly when you do that. Notice these statements put the first focus on the word I. It demonstrates more care and concern for the listener. What are you statements? You statements begin with the word you, as shown up on the slide. It shifts the blame to the listener and often produces defensiveness in the listener's mind. For example, some of these examples of you statements are, why don't you do better? You don't understand me. These examples point the finger at the listener and cause the person to not listen. Here's some practice for replacing you statements with I statements. So, for example, you make me so mad.
I would say A.
Yes, you are correct. How about you irritate me when you joke too much?
I would say B.
Yes. And the last one, you talk too much?
C.
Yes. Well, that concludes the I statements of my part of the presentation.
Okay, Hi, my name is Hannah Concharia, and in this segment of the presentation, I will be discussing the I will be discussing conflict and unequal relationship and how to handle these conflicts. Okay, so first, what is conflict and unequal relationships? In this case, I'm referring to conflict in which you are the subordinate role, or when the other person in the conflict has a higher status or more authority in the area of said conflict. This can include conflicts with parents, teachers, and employers. The handling of these conflicts in these cases are different from when in equal relationship conflicts. So, what are our responsibilities in these conflicts? First, have respect for those in authority. This should be done regardless of your feelings towards them, and should be distinctly shown through your words and actions. And honestly, you can't expect things to work out favorably for you if you can't treat someone in authority with respect. Second, recognize that those in authority are following rules as well. Those rules help influence their actions towards you, and unfavorable conducts can't always be pinned on them. They don't always have complete authority in every matter. They have to follow rules as well. Third, if there's a problem, let a person in authority know. You have to voice your concerns. Don't expect people to already know your problems. Although an issue may seem evident to you, others may not notice it at all. You can't help someone recognize an issue by keeping quiet about it. Number 4, even if you disagree with someone, show regard to their feelings. Don't talk behind their backs. This is a rude and extremely ineffective way of expressing your frustration, and it says more about you than it does about them. Number 5, admit when you're wrong. This is a sign of maturity and can actually improve the state of the conflict. It's also important to avoid fake apologies. This occurs when you appear to be apologizing, but you're actually indirectly pinning the blame on someone else. Next, have control over your emotions. You have the ability to choose your mindset. Don't get frustrated. You can benefit from deciding to be the bigger person in a conflict. And number 7, keep your dignity. Even if the other person in your conflict decides to get worked up or behaves immaturely, it won't help your cause to imitate their actions. That is the end of my portion of the presentation.
Okay, my name is Anna Pace, and I'm going to be presenting conflict when you're in charge. Godly leaders are servant leaders. If you're wanting to lead, get good at serving ones above and below you. Serving individuals that are above you is called self-serving. You can tell a lot by a person that is serving someone that can do nothing for them. For even the Son of Man cannot be served but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for so many. Mark 10:45. You have the responsibility to serve others and not just to make your own life way easier. Know that there will always be someone over you. The Roman centurion who responded to Jesus in Matthew 8:9, I too am a man under authority. As Jesus had authority over 100 men, but responded that he was way under authority. When looking to hire people, you look for those who are not just good leaders, but also good followers. Those who are good followers may not be the best leaders, but they are a very good bet. Be a good listener and perceiver. A leader is more than having individuals listening to you and doing whatever you want. Godly leaders know how to read a situation and understand what is exactly going on. What is said is important for understanding, but you also need to listen to what is not said. Proverbs 2:2 states, making your ear attentive to wisdom and incline your heart to understanding. And that was the ending of my portion.
My name is Ella Tucker, and this is Conflict When You Are in Charge, Part 2. In order to lead effectively, you must have strong morals, care about those you lead, and know there is always more to learn. Why is it important to have strong morals? The people you lead will follow your example. You should always act like how you want them to act. Acting unethically allows your followers to set low standards for themselves. And as Christians, we should always be acting as God calls us to. 1 Timothy 3 verse 2 says, a bishop must then be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, and given to hospitality. Why do our followers need to know we care about them? Giving grace when it is needed can pay off in the long run. Workers are more motivated to work hard when they know their efforts will be appreciated. No one wants to work for a boss that will not appreciate them when they put in extra effort. Ephesians 4 verse 32 says, be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you. I'm in charge. What more is there for me to learn? You can never stop growing in your leadership. Always keep yourself open to feedback and never be afraid to confront your shortcomings. Refusal to learn from those in positions below yours can only hurt your management. It shows them that you don't care about what they have to offer or what they have to say. Proverbs 12 verse 1 says, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, and whoever hates correction is stupid.
In conclusion, conflict is a part of everyday life and is necessary for growth. How individuals handle conflict is key. Maintaining respect and having accountability to God for every area of communication will go a long way becoming a successful communicator. We were having difficulties with the slides, by the way.